What's up, everybody? Another day, another ride. Today is 10 degrees Celsius outside. A bit sunnier than yesterday, but about the same weather. Seems like less wind. And there is a sunshine heating factor, I guess, because it doesn't feel as cold. I will be driving through the northern part of my home, which basically will lead up to a mountain pass through sort of valleys, farmland, then through a little minor city. And then I believe it's Gapyeong it's called. It's a riverside resort area that we'll be going to. And I will be following the Bukhangang River counterclockwise. Should be about a 2-hour drive. And it's a route I've done. But the reason why it's special today is I've never gone around the Bukhangang River in a counterclockwise fashion. The topic that I will be talking about today, although I'll try to do less talking, is Korean etiquette. It's something that has been requested of me, and full disclosure, I don't think I'm the most qualified Korean etiquette guy, but for that same reason I think I might be the best person to talk about it, because I can give you a Western perspective on it. On a side note, yesterday I heard the audio. It sucked because the wind noise was a bit too much. Somebody commented on it. I hear ya, and I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. So bear with me when I'm driving through maybe the windy plains. Although I have situated the mic in a different location that I hope has less wind resistance. And as a matter of fact, I've mic'd 2 mics up. So hopefully one sounds better than the other. And this is sort of a technical run, I guess. I'm figuring out what the best audio setup is. Alright, so right now I am driving up Yumyong mountain. If you see my video yesterday, I told you that I live on the foothills of Yumyong mountain, which is one of the top 100 mountains in Korea, as a matter of fact. I feel quite fortunate that it's my backyard. I'd be climbing this a lot more, but you know me. I try not to do the same thing twice, so I've been going out of my way to climb other mountains, but this is a very nice mountain and a national park, and on the bottom there's a nice riverbank. I think I enjoy that much more than actually the summit. Very popular place for cyclists like that, although it's a bit hardcore. People say the hardcore cyclists come here because it's a tough climb, but it is a popular course. But even more popular, it's very popular for motorcyclists. That's why I always see Harleys and speed bikes come across this. Well, there's one right there. Speak of the devil. Drive through here. I think it's a nice technical course. I try not to speed through it. Yeah. Although I've driven through more areas in Korea, I personally like the mountain pass in Gongjaksan, the Gongjak Mountains, which is in, I believe it's Gangwon-do province. a little south of Hongcheon. If you see my Hongcheon Moto Camping series, which actually there's a bunch, I forgot which one it was, but I drive through it. I love that mountain pass much better. But the reason why I believe this is probably the most popular one is its proximity to Seoul. It's a short drive out, and you can enjoy a little canyon run, I guess. That reminds me of my days in California. If I still have my S2000, this is where I'd be doing my canyon runs. If Takumi was here, this is where Initial D would be happening, I guess. This guy's actually going quite slow. If I can overtake him on an uphill, then he's going really slow. Alright. Ahead of him. Alright, so to Korean etiquette. Let's say the reason I don't think I'm the most qualified to talk about it is maybe because I'm younger, right? And number two, although my family, some of you guys already know, my father is a minister, so he knows etiquette. But he's a more unorthodox pastor, I guess. He's less about etiquette than, per se, my grandfather was. My grandfather was also a minister. He's an old school minister. So much about etiquette that even when he's at home, he would not take off his dress shirt. You know, he thought that it was his duty to look presentable at all times. So you can see how etiquette can go to way different levels. Now, although my dad is a little bit unorthodox, I'm even more unorthodox for a Korean, I guess. And I care even less about etiquette. And if I cared so much about etiquette, I probably couldn't be making these videos because it's quite rude to be speaking your mind. You know, and YouTube is all about speaking your mind and what's on your mind. So that is also why I think I'm maybe the most qualified to talk about it, because I'm going to give it to you in a Western perspective. And I've sort of witnessed Korean etiquette on all levels. I guess I've not been in too much of a bubble per se. So that's why I think I'm maybe a little bit more qualified to speak about this, because most people try to learn etiquette from very old school people, right? Like they will try to go to like a old grandma or grandpa and learn about etiquette. And it's true, they'll know the most about Korean etiquette in a traditional sense, but in a practical sense, they're dinosaurs. I'm sorry to say this, but they are. Even the language they speak, everything, it's just sort of past them. And one thing about Korea is that Korea is an early adopter of, how do you say, pop culture, particularly Western culture and trends. I mean, just listen to Korean music, guys. Do I need to say more? You know, who else has adopted and ran with and succeeded with Western music outside of the Western countries in Korea? And that's how it is, guys. And music culture, etiquette culture, it's all the same. They have the same attitude. So the younger generation now, they care less about etiquette. All right. So yeah, as a matter of fact, a lot of them just get annoyed with old people that insist on etiquette. So I understand etiquette is gonna, what I'm trying to say is etiquette is gonna matter on, and mannerisms is gonna matter to different degrees depending on your age and the people you associate yourself with. Obviously, if you're older, it's gonna matter a bit more because, you know, you're gonna probably hang out with older people who are more stuck in their old ways, right? Can't teach a dog new tricks. So they're gonna care a lot more about etiquette than, let's say, if you're hanging out with younger people. who probably don't even like the etiquettes. There's a big culture war, let's say, in Korea. There is a big one. And I'm sorry to say this to some of the older people, but it's inevitable that the younger people will win. Why? Because it's just a fact of life, guys. Old people are gonna die, and the young people are gonna sort of dictate where it's gonna be. Not saying that that's a good thing or not. I mean, yeah, I might be sounding liberal, but I'm quite a conservative guy, and I think world is headed to crap. But oh, what is that? That's a jacket out there. But I'm a realist, right? I mean, it's just a fact of life. The sooner we accept it, the better we can adjust. Even me, I'm getting old. Like, let's say I'm sort of in my late 30s, and I feel like a dinosaur too. When I hang out with, younger kids in their 20s and such in Korea, I feel like they're even more liberal than my Western friends. They're even more direct, in a sense where, like, if I put a 20-year-old Korean kid and then he was hanging out with my Western buddies who are in their late 30s, they would think, oh my gosh, as a Western person, they're conservative. So, the point of the matter is age and generational gap is going to matter far more than cultural gap here when it comes to etiquette and mannerisms. And the reason why I try to say this is because I know what a lot of people are thinking. I mean, I'm one of those people too. When we think of Asia, etiquette, mannerisms, we all think of Japanese, right? Because that's the movies we've seen, Karate Kid, blah, blah, blah. Growing up, we have to bow, put our hands together, da-da-da-da-da. There's a bunch of, like, processes that we do, and it matters a great deal. Let me say a couple things about that. First of all, the Japanese are the most structured, well-mannered people that I've known, They're the most conservative Asians out of all the Asians. So you're seeing probably the most extreme version of it. And even amongst Japanese, they're not like that, like in the movies, but it's the most interesting. So those movies blow out in proportion just how well-mannered and, conservative and, I don't know, like process-orientated they are. Because your average Japanese isn't going to be like that, and why do I say this? I have a Japanese girlfriend, so I know. She's definitely a bit more conservative than me. I think she's one of the more well-mannered, well-learned, you could say, Japanese, right? And I know her thoughts. She's quite conservative. That's sort of why I like her, because I think I'm conservative myself. But yeah, I mean, just to say, it's exaggerated. So, but we watch these movies and we think, Karate Kid. It's ridiculous as it sounds if I say it. It might. I know that's what you're thinking. You think you come to Korea. Koreans seem pretty similar, right? We do the little bow thing. We're less of a direct verbal communicator. We do more indirect, gestured communication per se. Yeah, we're very similar to Japanese, I guess. I mean, as close as they'll get, but we're definitely no Japanese. But you're watching the movies and you think, oh, well, if, I follow what Miyagi-sensei says and, put my hands together, wax on off, and do things just mindlessly by a process, we will gain the respect and we will win karate championships or get the women of our dreams. I mean, aren't men such simple-minded creatures? When I put it out like this, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I know there's some guys out there thinking like that. Like, be honest with yourself. Seriously, that's what you're probably thinking, right? So that's why people ask me, can you teach me about Korean etiquette? So let's first get this out of the way. And actually, as a matter of fact, although I'm sort of bashing on how simple-minded Korean men can be, the reason I'm making this video is because of a woman. She asked me on my comments, she loves watching my vlogs, and she has 2 children, and they want to move to Korea, and she wants to know about all the manners. So actually, I can't really speak why women are interested in mannerisms. I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the reason why I don't assume for women is because I'm not a woman, so it'll be really hard. But I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna just throw a wild guess out there. Don't be offended, women, because I've said some pretty offensive things about men. So you're just, I'm being equal here. Okay, so I'm thinking, based on what I know of the social hierarchy of general women, they're interested because they don't want to make a fool of themselves. It's like the worst thing too. By the way, that's the entrance to Yumyong Mountain. As you saw, I went up the hill of Yumyong Mountain. At the very top, I'm gonna do that. There's like 7, 8 hiking trails for each mountain. Like Bukhangang, the biggest one, has even more. But that one, I think, has like 7 or 8. I'm gonna try a new trail on the very top. But I was an idiot and I went from the very bottom there. It's a bit more scenic because it's a river valley course. But as you can see, that's a steep climb to do in a day. Anyways, here's the plains, and then, man, I was saying I'm gonna talk a little less, but I'm talking a lot. Go back to my etiquette thing. So I think women don't want to make a fool of themselves, and don't want other people talking behind their back and saying, "Oh, how unlearned she is," Well, so I guess my advice about etiquette is more applicable to you because, or learning about Korean etiquette is more applicable to you in that sense because it will accomplish that goal. But I'm not saying all men, but if you happen to be one of those men that I just described that thinks you want to learn etiquette, you want to learn the language because you believe that is an automatic guarantee for you to gain the respect of the people of Korea and, get the best girl, etc. Although it may help, and I'm only throwing out the may because I'm a believer in all possibilities, it is certainly not a guarantee. And that is a wrong kind of mindset to have to learn Korean etiquette. So I will be going ahead and discussing all the little things about Korean etiquette. You will realize it's very counterintuitive to how Westerners think. You might actually gain more validation by protesting against the existing social sets of etiquette and aligning yourself with the younger crowd here than you will get trying to navigate the difficult cultural and nonsensical etiquette issues that they have in Korea sometimes, all right? So, but it's good to know. It's good to know, and you're seeing good scenery, so just stick around and listen to it, right? But I just want to give you that warning because it's not just about etiquette, but overall, guys, if I had to give one advice to people who come out to Asia, or just travel out of their homes and try to start a new life somewhere or have new adventure, one advice I would have for everybody is to do that and approach everything in life, every relationship or relationship with a country, anything, with no expectations. This is a very Zen, Buddhist kind of thinking, maybe, I think. Expect nothing in return, right? Because you will frustrate the heck out of yourself when you don't gain the validation you are desiring, because validation is very hard to come by. It is not a step-by-step 10-step process to gaining it. It requires forging of relationships, deep, long understandings, and a bit of luck. Right? So try not to have any expectations, right? So now that this is a golf course, by the way. Basically, I'm going to be doing like a loop like this with the river starting from the north and then going all the way down from the west to south. That's Bukhangang River. But in this loop, there's a ton of golf courses here. I saw it on a satellite feed. One day I'm gonna get my drone out and fly it, but it's a bit cold, so I just want to get this loop done before it gets too cold. Oh, I just realized my gas is almost empty. I gotta fill up my gas. Okay, so first of all, let's go into the nitty-gritty of different etiquettes about Korea. First rule about etiquette in Korea, right? The most important thing is that it is intention over process. All right? I believe in that. I can't speak for the Japanese, but I think they have a stronger stress on process over intentions. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. If you screw up the process, you have disrespected people. So I just want to throw that out there. In my experience dealing with Koreans, it's always intention over process. Koreans are quite understanding. They are quite aware how complex the etiquette and the mannerisms they have are. Why? Because they themselves, you know, think it's complicated and complex. I mean, if you think, like, I think my father is quite conservative, right? But he thinks my grandfather is quite conservative. I mean, for as long as any Korean alive, right now at least, can remember, they have always been fighting the conservative etiquette, mannerism processes of Korea. You know, so they themselves understand that Korea is sometimes a bit backwards and they gotta evolve and, you know, move on with the times. I think this might be a bit, maybe this is a different mindset than a lot of other Asian countries, you know? Now, not everyone's like that. Some of them are just so close-minded. Oh, here's another nice golf course. Oh, they're building something new there. I saw that. I want to see that what they create there. So Koreans are aware. I mean, you could always throw, no matter how conservative someone sounds, if you actually study Korean history and go back and you want to really get into, you know, what Koreans originally, our forefathers, thought of mannerisms, nobody is a well-mannered Korean right now, you know? If we were, you know, we would have a king, we would have a class system, you know? And nobody that's, you know, doesn't get a certain grade in school should be, I mean, they would be considered servants. You know, this is basically the Confucius system, right? That's mannerisms, etc. Most of that, I believe, comes from the Confucius system, right? Confucianism, it's pretty much civilized Asia. I mean, it was a great process to start out with, you know, because prior to then, probably everybody was barbaric. It was probably whoever is the strongest, you know, whoever could beat up whoever is the one that makes laws. But Confucianism, you know, it has its, looking at gas, that's not good. It's almost like 71 higher than all the other places. Jesus, that's a lot just because it's in a mountain pass. I'm looking somewhere in the area of 1500 won. Okay. So yeah, I mean, no one can claim that they are the original mannered person. Now, so it's all a bit hypocritical, to be honest with you, if you come down to basic logic. Now, I'm one of those people, I guess maybe I'm not that liberal in thinking these mannerisms aren't completely useless. It's a way to preserve culture. It's what makes, you know, Koreans unique. and it is a set of social rules that is designed to sort of show gestures of appreciation. So it makes communication easier. So I'm not one of those people that thinks we should get completely rid of it, but at the end of the day, it's all intentions, and most Koreans understand this. And if you talk to somebody who is more concerned about the process than the intention, I would say that they are a minority, and they are what most Koreans would probably think are closed-minded people. You know, they wouldn't even associate with them. Even old people like my father wouldn't do that, you know? So don't worry too much that you're messing things up. But it is the intention that matters. So that's why I'll be going ahead and explaining the intention behind some of these mannerisms, because that's what's more important. Okay? So, oh man, this is beautiful. Let me just enjoy this a bit. Oh, those are really nice houses right there. Oh, so beautiful. That's I believe that's a really nice church up there. Is it a church or what kind of building is that? My dad took me up a mountain once, and there's like a really beautiful church, like it's made of all wood inside, and it's glass. All right, so mannerisms. Let's see, if I had to summarize mannerisms. So all of these things are sort of designed to do certain things, which is, where am I? I need to make a left. I hope this is right. Okay, I'm in Gapyeong, by the way. Oh, did I go the wrong way? It's alright, I'll circle back around anyways. Sorry guys, let me just sort of focus on the road a bit, because oh man, this is even more expensive. $15.98? Are you kidding me? Alright. I know there's other places. So mannerisms, this boils down from Confucianism, right? You guys ever done world history? Confucianism, it's based on a lot of respecting of elders and ancestors. So Koreans have that ingrained into their culture. It is just common knowledge here that elders should be respected, right? I think that's a good value. Why? Because they've lived longer than us. Their thoughts are to be respected, you know? They might not be right all the time, but probably they're right a lot of the times. Or, you know, as I've grown older, I've realized there are things that older people, you know, I should give them the benefit of the doubt, right? And in Korean society, that is established. Now, of course, there's always rebellious young kids, etc. They go through adolescence or whatever, so they're always rebellious at that age. They think they're right, but for the majority of Koreans operate on the knowledge that elders should be respected, and they should be given their respect. All right, I don't know how else to put this. So next to elders it is authorities should be respected. So, what do I mean by authoritative figures? Well, if you're at work, if you have a boss, they're to be respected. Korean society, it's run a bit more militaristic per se. I know feminists and such will say it's a very patriarchal society, blah blah blah. That's probably how they would put it. But you have to understand, every Korean man goes to the military. That is, like the first venture of all Korean men generally. It is the military. So imagine like your first job, it's going to the military usually. So that is how they operate. That is their knowledge of how society should operate. You have people above you, follow orders, and you get things done. Maybe that's why Koreans are so very efficient. They don't really question authority so much because they've all gone to the military and this is just the way of life. And, there's a lot of, how do you say, oh, there's a gas station there. I think I might want to make a left. It's still red. I'm sorry. Sorry. This is sort of like a little sex war or whatever, but reason why the sort of military mindset, etc., stands is the fact of the matter is, it is well understood right now in Korea that Korea exists because the men selflessly, join the military to protect the country. I mean, it's a real danger out here. It's a necessity. So it's really hard to, there's a lot of, let me see how much. Jeez, this isn't a gas station. 1570, okay, I think this is the best I can do. How much should I put in? I usually don't put in a lot, but I mean, fill it up. This time I'll just put the bare minimum. Let's see, I usually fill up about 3,000, so I'll put about 2,000. That should be enough to get me around today. Less than $2. I'll probably save like 20-30 cents.
안녕하세요. 주유 시작 전 아래의 정전기 패드.
Sorry guys, bear with me.
원하시는 유종의 주유량을 선택하세요.
금액 리더.
결제 수단을 선택하세요.
신용 카드.
원하시는 주유 금액이나 주유량을 선택하세요.
Whoa. They do it in $10 increments and 10 liters. Oh, I have to do manual.
원하시는 주유 금액을 선택하신 후 확인 버튼을 눌러주세요.
Like,
카드를 읽혀주세요.
man, I just realized this will be really hard if you don't speak Korean.
영수증을 전에는 결제용 카드를 빼지 마시고 분실 위험이 있으니 카드를 두고 카드 인식 중입니다.
Yeah.
결제 금액 확인 후 확인 버튼을 눌러주세요. 카드 조회 중입니다. 잠시만 기다려주세요. 차량의 연료 캡을 열고 노란색 주유 손잡이를 들어 연료 주입구에 삽입 후 주유하세요.
Oh, what the? I swear I didn't press on it. It just, there's just like excess there. Oh. I would say learning the Korean language is more out of necessity of
완료되었습니다. 노즐을 주유기에 걸어주시고 연료캡을 닫아주세요.
being able to do all this stuff out here in the countryside than it is more for mannerisms, I guess. Whoa. Am I supposed to?
영수증 발행 중입니다.
Jeez.
잠시만 기다려주세요. 영수증을 확인하시고 카드를 회수해주세요.
One good news though is if you learn how to sort of speak it, reading and writing is not very hard. These are not characters, by the way, meaning like they're not pictures like the Chinese. They're not symbols, it's not hieroglyphics. This is, believe it or not, phonetics. But they just organize them into syllables, which is like an easier way to read actually. Like a lot of kids learn how to read and write Korean in less than a week. And that's how they're able to sort of sing all these Korean songs, you know, even though they don't know what it means. So most people learn how to read and write even before they know how to speak, or know like the vocab. All right, let's see. Where are we now? Okay, I'm headed backwards, so I need to head the other way. Almost at the river area. 3:20, making good time. Oh, still recording. Let me make sure how much battery I got left. Great, doesn't tell me. I've been recording for about 37 minutes, alright. So the intention is respecting elders. I think this is counterintuitive to Western, because Western culture, we have somewhat of a down-up approach to management, to how things are, like family cult structure, etc. Communication is down-up, or what we call like an open-door policy. Koreans don't have that. It's a top-down approach. It's so all of this stems from that. Now, when I say it like that, it sounds nonsensical, right? Because I know a lot of you guys, I mean, if you operate in Western culture, it's like you hold deep those kinds of values, right? So you're like, why do I even want to practice these mannerisms when it embodies these principles I don't really appreciate? And yeah, so that's why you sort of have to understand this, right? Are you willing to accept it, or do you want to protest it? I myself, if I ran a company, I would probably do it with a, you know, open door policy, down up approach, where, you know, my foot soldiers give me feedback, and then as a leader, I decide on it. I let them speak, etc. So, and I'm not saying all Koreans are like this, because the younger Koreans, the younger CEOs, that's how they run their businesses now, you know? So, yeah, I mean, if I was old school, then I would say, you know, when you approach elders, don't speak unless you're spoken to, right? If I was a total etiquette mannerism guy, that's what I would say. Don't ever speak unless you're spoken to. I could go really extreme, right? But this is what I would say as far as how you approach the respecting of elders, because it's a balance. I think elders should be respected, but to some degree, I think you know, how Western society approaches this, and how they think, you know, the younger people should also be respected, their ideas should be respected. That kind of stuff is right too. So I'm not going to be so draconian and then go over all the little mannerisms, etc. Respect them for, you know, I think when you're in Korea, just respect them for, you know, sort of their service to the country, for, you know, human race, I guess, procreating, etc. With a respectful bow, right? When you come to elders or someone who's older or an authority, just bow or give them a nod or at least give them a smile. But in very formal meets, like it's your first time meeting them, bow. I saw a very interesting argument, a Reddit article. It's, you know, there's like a Reddit subreddit. It's called like, "Am I the a-hole?" It's like AITA, right? I think that's what it's called. It's just an acronym for "Am I the a-hole?" And then basically this Western guy is marrying this Korean woman, and the Korean woman says, you know, when you meet my parents and my grandparents, bow, you know. And the Western guy says, I refuse to do this. I forgot what the vocabulary he used was. It's like, guys, I mean, some of these guys have clever ways to justify themselves and fancy vocab. But at the end of the day, the guy was an a-hole, right? He just, how big of a deal was it to just bow to an elder? Because that's just the way you respect an elder, you know? It's not like we don't respect elders in the Western society. We just do it a different way, you know, by maybe listening to them, going to visit them. There's different ways we do it, but we still respect them, right? But in Korea, you do it with this little gesture of a bow, right? So, not a big deal. I mean, nobody thinks that that's like, what was it, prostrating yourself? I don't know what it is. He blew it up and said, you know, like he's basically not understanding. It's a different culture here, and different mannerisms symbolize different things. It's not like bowing to somebody here isn't the equivalent of maybe in a Western society if you do that, like becoming their servant or servituding yourself or whatever. That's not how people interpret it here. It's just a simple, very minor gesture of respect. We do it to everybody, not just elders, you know. When I meet someone new, I bow. Even like a woman that's younger than me, I bow. You know, that's just how we greet, you know. It's like almost like a handshake. So I guess that's the bare minimum you should know. When you meet someone that's older than you or in a position of higher position, then you're gonna bow, right? And usually you say 안녕하세요, and that is important. In the language, now obviously this is more advanced once you learn how to speak the language. And they'll teach you when you go learn Korean language. But Korean language is very similar to Japanese, where our ending, how we end a word or a sentence, changes depending on the respect status, right? So every language has these kinds of quirks. I hated Spanish because we keep changing that crap based on, you know, if it's a plural or singular, or if it's they, nosotros, vosotros, os, as, it's a female or male. You know, I'm like, that's so stupid and ridiculous. It's like very, how do you say, it's not very efficient, right? But, you know, we have one of these things in Korean, and it really complicates the language, but it's done on mannerisms. Now there's more, you know. It's not just simply you add yo at the end of the thing, but you know, when in doubt, just add yo. Why? Because even though it might not be correct, you know, because sometimes you have to add another syllable before that. When Koreans see that you're making the attempt to be respectful, even though it sounds completely ridiculous, it's the intention that counts, you know, once again. But if you leave that yo out, or the mannered ending out, you're considered barbaric and completely disrespectful. Okay, but I'm just gonna shut up a bit. So I'm here in Gapyeong, guys. If you watched my yesterday's vlog, I said I was gonna come here to learn how to water ski. This is probably the water sports central of Korea. It's relatively close to Seoul, very easy to get here, almost as easy as Yangpyeong. But they have this really big Bukhangang River. Oh, which by the way, yesterday I called it Pyongyang River. That's wrong. You know, it's Bukhangang River. Bukhan means like North Korea. Pyongyang is the capital of North Korea. That's why I got it mixed up. But actually, Puk I know is north. Han is like the Han nation, so that's why they call it North Korea. But Han, I think, could also mean, I forgot what it could mean, but I think it means something different in this sense. So, you know, Korean language, they have, it's actually derived from Chinese. And Chinese is a tonal language. But remember how I said Koreans changed it to a phonetic language, the written language? So now they no longer have tones. So when you have no longer tones, Han could mean like 7, 8 different things, and we don't say it a different way, like Han or whatever, right? To make it sound different. So it's just Han, and you just sort of have to know what it means based on context. And I don't know what it means on context, guys. So sometimes Mayu, even though she's Japanese, because she reads Chinese characters, because Japanese read traditional Chinese characters, she sometimes understands the meaning of Korean sometimes better than I do. Oh man, it's still a bit cold for water sports, but this place is gonna be great. Oh, there's somebody waiting behind me. I'm gonna let them go. I'm gonna let them go. I'll let them go before me, and I'll just come out here and take a look. Oh, look at those chicken and dogs. Ah. Ah. What? There's another road up on top. I didn't plan that. That's even more scenic. Can I make some last minute adjustments to go on that area? Let me see. It might be because it was a freeway there. No. I think I can drive through there. That's not a freeway. Maybe I'll make some last minute adjustments. I was originally gonna go down here. Oh, I know I didn't do that. Because I never been down there. Okay. Sorry guys. So for another day, another drive is gonna include that loop right there. Oh, that's very scenic. It's right by the river. Love it. Oh, still recording. So respecting of elders, just remember that. Just have that intention of respecting them. And that's all you need to know, I think. Now, another thing is just respect to people in general of their thoughts. So, this is very counterintuitive to American society, where you have to speak up for yourself. That's respected. If you speak up for yourself, you make your thoughts known your thoughts are always welcomed. You know, that's the American mentality. Although lately, I don't think it is anymore because that's probably the biggest culprit to, you know, the tribalism that's happening in America, the partisanship. Oh, 안녕, 안녕, 일로 와, 일로 와, 안녕, 안녕. Hey, I think this is a Chindok dog. It's cute. It must be that owner's. You know, I need to pay respect. This is one of the things, you know. Even though he's just a random person, be friendly. He's not interested in me right now, so I'll let him do what he does. But I touched his dog, so he's older than me. I should pay respect. And you'll see he's probably gonna say, "Oh no," he's not gonna say, "Get out, my property." None of that. Koreans are very communal, per se. 안녕하세요. Yep, he just looks. He's alright. It's alright. Yep. Just smile and say hello and nod, and you're all good. You know, they're not gonna yell at you or whatever. This is probably his property. I probably don't have any rights to be here, but they don't care, you know. As long as I'm not threatening. So, as long as you make your intention known like that, I think you're good for the most part. As far as respecting others, right? Oh, that's my mother. Let's see what my mother wants. Okay. Oh! 여보세요? Hello? Hello? It's unstable connection. I must call her by phone because my data sucks. 네.
전화가 안 돼. 너 나간디?
나갔어요.
아빠 전화가 집에 있나 물어보려고 그랬지.
I think so. 무슨 전화 그 벨이 울리더라고.
알았어.
어.
어디 갔어?
여기 지금 가평이야.
가평? 아이고 바람 부는데 조심해 다녀.
엄마 언제 올 건데?
지금 들어가.
오케이. 네.
가평. 아빠 전화 올리고 그래.
Alright, time to head off. What I just demonstrated there is being prompt, not making people wait. That's another mannerism there. But, yeah. Having other people heard, facilitating that, instead of being so focused on speaking your mind. That is an etiquette. Very counterintuitive because in the States, it's just sort of understood you're supposed to speak your mind and you're supposed to, you know, just sort of listen when they speak kind of thing. Here, you have to go out of your way to facilitate them speaking. Quite annoying, to be honest with you, because as you can see, I'm a very talkative person and I like other people to be talkative, and I like to be confrontational and argue things. I did a personality test and I'm one of those kinds of people. It's like, I'm not argumentative in that I'm disrespecting you, but I believe it's through a good argument or debating of thoughts that I come to a higher degree of understanding of you. But, you know, even in America, people don't like to be confrontational. So I think I'm more confrontational and argumentative than your average Westerner. So this is one of the most difficult things for me. But, you know, I think Koreans also generally understand that's how Americans are. And Koreans, their perception of Westerners, by the way, it's Americans, because I know Americans are far more talkative than per se English or Europeans or other whatever. But when Koreans think Westerners, it's Americans. Why? Because it's just the Korean War. It's the biggest expat group, Western expat group by far in Korea is Americans. Huge military presence there. They model their economy around how America operates everything. So they're the ones that the Koreans sort of, default to when they think of Western culture per se. So even if you're not like that, that's what they'll probably assume of you if you're a Westerner, or if you say you're from the States, etc., that you're going to be talkative, you're going to speak your mind more. It's not that you're being offensive, it's not that you're trying to, you don't care about what they say, but it's just how Americans generally are. And this is quite well known, I guess, in pop culture, even amongst the old, because there's so many TV shows, etc. now with Westerners, and they just sort of know our mannerisms. And again, when I say Westerners, Americans. So I'm sorry if you're one of those Westerners that are nothing like Americans, but unfortunately you'll get lumped in with the Americans because that's their main perception of Westerners. So so at the end of the day, the reason I can still sort of get by here in Korean society is because Koreans are generally understanding, right? And they're quite well educated when it comes to how American mannerisms are. So they know I'm not like speaking out of turn or whatever because I don't care what they have to say. They just assume, for the most part, and they are right to, that it's just my culture, that's just how I was raised. I just sort of generally speak my mind, etc. I mean nothing offensive. So they sort of take it a degree down. Although I probably get away with a lot less than like a true Western looking guy would, because I speak Korean. So there's a lot of assumptions made that I am, there's a little less forgiveness to me because they expect me to know Korean mannerisms better, which to some degree it's true, but I guess I myself know that sort of washed away with the fact that even amongst Westerners, I'm probably the more argumentative type. And although my degree of being able to speak the language is quite high for someone that grew up in the States, my saturation, like my mentality is one of the most American, like there's Korean Americans that speak half as worse like Korean than me, but they're not as Western as I am. Why do I say this? Because I grew up in like a boarding school, a Western boarding school for most of my life. I didn't really live at home. I moved out at a very young age. I think I lived with my parents maybe 4 years out of my life. Really, it was just like 8th grade, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, that's like 5 years. And then I went to the military, and then, oh, what's going on here? I had the right of way. That was stupid of me. Sorry guys, let me just focus a little bit on the road now. But this side I like this bridge, by the way. I really like that bridge. Usually, before I went up that route, and then I went that way, and then the opposite way, and then went back to my home. So this is the first time I'm going through this route right here. Oh, and as you can see, there's a reason I went counterclockwise, because that's the lane that's closer to the river. So I planned all this in advance. Oh, this is beautiful. I think these might be cherry blossom trees. Oh, this will be so beautiful once it warms up here. Wow. Oh, is this still recording? Yes, it is. Oh, this is a really nice area. There's a park there, I believe I saw. Midas. Oh, it's a hotel and a resort. That's why it was so nice. Oh. Midas Hotel. The Midas Touch. Ugh. So yeah, how do you go about letting other people speak? So the way you go about it, what I notice with Koreans is you don't really, you know how you can speak indirectly? You do that a lot. I'm really bad at this, guys. So all right, sorry guys, my battery died. I really don't know where I left off on my conversation, but I know that I left off sort of at that hotel, and unfortunately it was like the most scenic area after that, so you missed some of the more scenic stuff. So I'm just gonna head back a little bit. I think it was really close to here, because I've been trying to keep an eye on this GoPro. But basically, I was just talking about how you go about saying things indirectly to encourage other people to speak more. So I think that's sort of important, you know, like, again, it's the intention. And if you want to go to the extreme, it'll get quite extreme. I don't think it's necessary. But with that example, with just like, let's say you're going out with a group of coworkers, you would phrase everything in a question, like, especially when you're trying to figure out where to go eat, because you want them to eat what they want. So instead of saying like, hey, let's go eat this, you know, it'd be probably more polite to say, at the bare minimum, how about this, you know? Now, what I would probably say is, how about this? And then be very direct in asking their opinion. What do you feel like, you know? Some people are more indirect, and they will just say, what do you feel like? I'm okay with anything, you know? And then it becomes into like a fight of, no, you decide, I'm okay with whatever, you decide, you know? It gets quite annoying to me, actually, so that's why I like to just suggest something, and then how about this? And I think maybe it gets a bit rude when they're like, I really feel like this, let's go eat this, you know, that's, you know, or even if they say it as a question, you know, I really feel like eating octopus, how about we go eat octopus? By the way, I want to show you this cafe. I really like that. Elise, and then it's Elise Cafe. Lotus Elise. And a lot of it also has to do with the tone of your voice. You know what I'm saying? You could say the correct words per se, literally, but if you say it in a very like firm manner, then it's gonna come across more as a ultimatum, not as a seeking of their input. And then I added on top of that, don't apply this to everything, in the sense that, especially when it comes to male-female relationships, because there are some girls that like a more decisive man, you know? There's like pros and cons to this. It doesn't mean you're going to be selfish and you're going to tell the woman, hey, this is what you're going to eat today. Certainly not, you know? It's like more in the sense that they want you to take responsibility for like their happiness, as unhealthy as that sounds. So it'd be more like, hey, I prepared, you know, I figured out a great place we can eat today. You know, do you want to eat this? Like, well, I wouldn't really say. I don't know how you go about it. I'm not one of those kinds of people, but like, it's like an event every time. And then she will do it, and if she doesn't like what you suggested, you're screwed for that date. Or if she goes and eats it and she doesn't like it, you're screwed. So actually, it's not a good thing, you know, to find a girl that wants like a dominant man all the time, per se, because you have to take responsibility for her happiness. It's quite unhealthy of a relationship. But I've come across some girls who are like that. Ooh, did I? Oh, that's another view of the bridge. I like it. I like it. I like it. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna venture off here. Is that another bridge, or is it the same bridge? I like bridges. Ah, so beautiful. Oh, these are probably very expensive houses. You guys notice I like to sing that tune whenever I go to like a new cool location. That's how I feel like we're venturing into unknown territory, Jurassic Park. This is my adventure theme song. Hello there. This low growl is not the growl of a lion. It is of a nice, innocent Korean American man who wants to pet you. Meow, 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 meow. Well, look, it must be warming up because now I see gnats. Do you see that in the camera? There are little swarms of gnats. Oh, and this is why when you're driving around in the countryside in Korea, you need a motorcycle with a shield. Like even in Thailand, I didn't come across this, well, because I'm mostly driving around in Bangkok. They're not going to really have gnats there. There's probably bigger bugs in the countryside, but I didn't really wear a face shield. But here, even if it's hot or whatever, a face shield is necessary. You got all these bugs flying at you. Oh, look at all these new homes they're building. Look at this. It's nice. That one doesn't really have a view. Maybe from the attic though. 안녕하세요. You know. Again, you see? That is a combination of a nice friendly tone of voice and hello. When you say that, you could get away with a lot in Korea because it's the intention that matters, right? You know, maybe I'm not supposed to be there, but just a friendly guy got lost. You know, he didn't do any harm, kind of thing. All right. So other little mannerisms and etiquettes that might be counterintuitive to Western or American thinking. Can't speak for all Westerners because I'm only American. Oh, promptness. Promptness is very important in Korea. Just assume that most Koreans are juggling 12, 13 different tasks a day. They're far more busy than you, especially, you know, just assume that. They have a lot going on. So one of the rudest things you could do is make them wait. When they call you, call them back as soon as possible. I mean, this is probably the same with every country, but there's less forgiveness here. If you can't call them back, text them. You know, it is less about the way you communicate. It's more about the fact that you get back to them ASAP, right? This was something that I saw like in the expat forum. Some old Western guy, American guy seemed like. You know, this seems to be an issue with a lot of old Western men, they insist that, the other person reciprocates in the form of communication they want to be communicated in. So if they give them a call by phone, they expect to be called back by phone, not by a text or whatever. They believe that this is very rude. But in Korean society, it's far more rude to make somebody wait. And there are situations, a lot of situations for Koreans where they are not able to get back to you in a timely manner if they were to call you by phone. Nor do they have the time or the patience sometimes to sit through a long, winding phone call when an older man who probably doesn't have anything else to do but just wants to chit chat with you, because they got tasks, they got things to accomplish, right? So, when you get to know a Korean person or whatever, you will, it's not like they don't like to talk, they love to talk, but as far as how I'm not gonna dictate how a Korean person should reciprocate back to you, but as far as how you should reciprocate back to a Korean is do it in the earliest, most prompt manner as possible. This is quite important. If you can't get back to them because you're having dinner or whatever in a meeting and you can't talk to them, text them, hey, I can't talk right now, blah 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 blah. Get a bit more tech savvy, guys. If you got an iPhone or whatever, you can put in some pre-recorded text messages, so when they call you, just reply with text and there's a set of pre-recorded text messages. Most of the time, what are you doing? Probably in a meeting. I can't get back to you, I'll get back to you as soon as possible, kind of thing. Is it urgent? Pre-record that, pre-type that text message, text it back, so that you don't make a Korean wait, because I think that's the most impolite thing you can do to them, because Koreans are always on a schedule. They got things they need to do. So that's another etiquette. Oh, what's another etiquette? I don't really want to think right now, guys. Do you blame me? Because look at these curves. Oh, this is such a nice path. Sorry, I'm just gonna shut up a bit and then drive. Oh, so beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Right here. This guy. 안녕하세요. Sometimes saying 안녕하세요 is maybe too intrusive. Just like a nod is sometimes good enough. It's not like I'm in their front yard or anything. Oh, look at this. There's like a rocky wall over there. I wonder if I can see it in more detail. Oh, yeah, look. Yeah, see? See how beautiful that is? there's like trees glowing off those cliffs, those rocky cliffs. They call those sonamu. Those trees are really, really strong, sturdy. They can survive anywhere, even off a rock. They're growing out of the rocks. Look at that. Koreans really like those trees. They think it sort of embodies how Koreans are. I sort of agree. Korea is very rough terrain, as you can see. It's all mountainous. I think it's like, they say 80% mountainous terrain in Korea. It's really tough to survive out here. But Koreans, like those trees, they survive off anything and thrive. Another interesting fact I learned on my last trip was that General Yi, Admiral Yi, Admiral Yi, a very famous naval tactician that won the Japanese with like 12 ships, like 300 of them. And I learned that the Korean naval ships were made out of those kinds of trees. And as you can see, they're very thin, they're windy, you know, they're not straight like the Japanese cedar that the Japanese ships were made out of. Oh, 안녕. Hey. Look at that dog. Oh man, I hope I'm not lost. It looks like I'm in the general vicinity of things. This is a school. Oh. I guess this is a nice little town. Mothers putting on masks to their little children. Nice detour, I guess. Maybe that would have been more scenic there because it's elevated and I could have overlooked the city. Oh, this restaurant looks really good right now. Oh, I'm getting hungry. Oh, look at all this food. Oh, getting really hungry. But yeah, I mean, those are the main mannerisms, guys. I would say respect elders, let others be heard, and why do I feel like I forgot something? Oh, being prompt. Don't making people wait. Now, I guess I should mention there's a whole set of other mannerisms around money, right? It might make Korean sound very materialistic if I go into it. And let me tell you, this is probably the most contentious of the mannerisms, right? It's one that a lot of people how do you say, uphold to different degrees. But let me tell you some very common ones that you'll probably come across when you first come here, and just learn the rest. But I think Korea, this is more of a recent thing, maybe. Koreans just came out of the Korean War, you know, not that long ago, since it's the 40s, right? That's like the worst that a country could be devastated. The Korean War, it was like completely razed. Korea, it was a really tough time. Just look at pictures of Korea in the 50s and such, and 60s, right? When the Korean War was happening, people are literally living in huts, you know? They didn't have enough to eat, to survive. So, as a caring person, as a caring neighbor or a family member, your main concern sometimes, more so than mannerisms, you know, was like survival. So, like how an older person greets a younger person isn't like, hello, how are you? It's literally like, 밥 먹었어, you know, like, did you eat yet? That's how they literally greet you. Did you eat yet? Because they want to make sure you're taken care of. Like the younger generation, of course they've eaten, you know, like it gets sort of annoying. Like, why are you asking me if I've eaten? Of course I've eaten, you know. They're like, you should eat something, you should eat something. But you should understand, this sort of is a remnant of the Korean War, and that's how they probably wanted to have been greeted, because they were hungry all the time, and, you know, they're remembering those tough times, and they think they just can't move on with the times, etc. So a lot of this has died off. You know, not everybody greets me. Not all older people greet me as, oh, did you eat yet? You know, they understand us young people get annoyed with that, because of course we've eaten. Why wouldn't we eat, you know? But just understand that there's that kind of stuff. You want to make sure everyone is always fed and ate. But there's a lot of things about money, you know? And this could like sort of sometimes make or break a deal or something. And this is why I sort of get annoyed hanging out with older Korean guys sometimes, because they stress this so much, you know? I just like American style, and like most of the younger kids are the same way as me too, you know? They don't like this whole idea of, oh, this is a very famous cafe, by the way, Terra Rosa Cafe. It's maybe so hyped but everyone like comes here. It's a really nice cafe. I'm not a coffee guy, but famous cafe, guys. To someplace, very famous franchise right across better location. Okay. So, yeah, for example, like let's say when you are visiting somebody, like if somebody invites you to their home, you are always expected to bring a gift. You know, even Americans sort of do this, I guess. Like, well, when somebody invites us for a dinner, we usually bring like dessert or wine or whatever. Koreans do that too. But they place higher importance on this. This is something that you're sort of expected to do even with the younger generation, you know, because usually they invite you to their homes when they've just bought a home or they've just moved. They usually throw a little party, and you're expected to bring something. And the common gifts that people bring are not like wine, you know, or something, or a dessert or a cake per se, although I think the younger generation might appreciate that more. But you're usually supposed to bring a gift that is gonna add to the ease the burden of all the money they just spent on that home, you know? So something they like to bring is like toilet paper. As crazy as stupid as that sounds, but it's like the best gift, you know, because we all need toilet paper. But since everybody does toilet paper, maybe it's good for you to think of something else to buy for them, because it's like such the common gift to get toilet paper that when you have a housewarming and you have 10 guests, if 5 of them give you like big things of toilet paper, there's not enough space to put them. And space is very limited out here. So think of a gift that they would use, you know. And in Korea, it is not rude to give money, like literally put money in an envelope. Of course, it'd be rude just to, you know, give them bills like cash. Put it in a nice envelope. It could be, it doesn't have to be nice. Just put it in an envelope and give them money, you know. It's not really, you know, rude to do that. That would be like the best present, money. Koreans love gifts of money and cash. I'm gonna go here. What is this? Sejong Tower. I think, whoa, this is nice. That's a cafe. Wow. I don't remember seeing this. But you're elevated. They spent money to make it out of wood. Jeez, that's a lot of maintenance there. Wow. Oh, this is interesting. I'd like to eat there one day. Wow. Okay, that's sort of sidetracked. So understand that gifts of money is not always rude. Thoughtful presents are good though. That's not bad. It's just that if it's sort of useless, you might 욕먹어. How do you say that? Like, don't be surprised if they don't appreciate it that much. They might smile, but they might not appreciate it. But again, intention trumps all. So as long as they see that you're trying, they'll like it, you know. But in Korea, it's gift giving is a whole different level. You want to give gifts that are useful to them. That trumps more than, like, you know, having to go through the thought of everything. So you'll find that Koreans actually love gifts of, hey there, whoa, shoot, hey, almost ran into you. Geez, did you see that rear tire just sort of lock up on me? I should do more tests. That's quite dangerous. Was it sandy? I didn't feel like I braked that hard, but my rear tire just slipped on me. It makes me nervous. By the way, where am I going? I don't know where I'm going. It seems like I'm stuck in the same place here. I'm off-road. Who cares? Who cares? I'm on a motorcycle. I can go wherever I want. That's why I drive a motorcycle. So, you know, have you guys ever seen the movie, read the book Love Language? Right? There's 5 love languages, like, forgot what it was. Physical touch, some assuring words, like kind words, gifts, quality time. I forgot the 5th one. I guess it's not that important to me. That's why I don't. Oh, hey, it's a Western guy. Quality time is my love language, by the way. Meaningful gifts is the least of my love languages, I guess. I hate giving gifts, and I feel uncomfortable receiving gifts sometimes. Like, because I feel indebted to have to get other people gifts, you know? This is why I probably least appreciate this aspect of Korean culture, because I feel like if I had to give the 5 love languages to Korean culture, they really seem to appreciate gift giving, you know? It's not that it's bad, but oh man, it's just like, you know, just spend the money that you have on yourself, and you spend money. It's like, it's very split down the middle. But like when you go out to eat, for example, it'll be very sort of rude to insist that you split the bill in Korea, for example. Koreans, that's like the one thing that they always like make fun of Americans with. They're like, oh, Dutch pay, you know. Americans 정없어, right? Like they don't have 정, which how do you say they don't have like 정 is like very hard to describe, but they like to, like, you know, split the cost. How could they do that? Like, this is like the rudest thing you could probably do, you know. Insist that you split the bill. Like, they would rather pay for your meal than have to split it, because it sounds very calculating, you know? And Koreans don't like a very calculated relationship per se. So so they're very generous. They want to buy you things and pay for it, and then they also expect the same back, you know? Nothing's free in this world, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. And Koreans are very generous, but they also expect more from you, I think. So yeah, there you go, man. I'm just gonna stop here. Oh, this is so scenic. Wow, look at this. Oh, did I actually venture off into a bike-only path? Wow. Oh. Oh, look at just how scenic this is, guys. Wow. I'm waiting for that bridge to be completed, because as you saw, after that bridge way over there that I pointed out, there isn't a way for me to get into the main like area there, which is where Seoul is. Like right across this river is Seoul. This is Bukhangang River, goes north south, and then Hangang River goes east west. So I am on like, basically it's separated like this. Well, no, Bukhangang River does this, the south isn't. So it's like there's like this, and I'm on this side. There's a river to the south and to the left, right, and I need to get here to Seoul, but I have to cross these bridges. And if I'm just beelining it for Seoul, I guess it's not that big of a deal. There's lots of nice roads from Yangpyeong, but I like to go along these mountainous passes and go into Seoul. But I can't. I have to always go to the same area way over there. There's only one entrance, which is actually a very beautiful entrance. But it's just, I would like to venture off into there more directly after going through mountain passes, less trafficy areas. Oh, I love it. I really do. And I hope that's not a freeway, because if it's a freeway, then motorcycles can't go on it. I hope it's just like a regular road, but good chance it's a freeway, because Koreans love freeways. You know, they love to pay toll. So beautiful. I was just making sure my audio is still recording. Oh, my video is still recording. I'm gonna keep heading down, guys. It's only gonna get more beautiful from here. If you noticed with my vlogs in general, and same with my riding videos, you have to stick around, right? It builds up. You'll see the better stuff towards the end of my videos, so stick around. You know, there's more. Wow, so scenic, so beautiful. There's like nothing out here, but they have an amazing jogging path. Wow. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Alright, kumbaya. Where am I? I don't know where I am. As long as I follow this river, I know I'm gonna be good. I'll be good if I follow this river. That's, I think I need to go this way. Alright, oh, look at that, there's like a tent in there or something. It's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. That sucks. You can't camp or cook or fish here. Yeah, that would be a lovely place to do it. Oh, look at this. Cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms are starting to come out. Wow. It looks like it got too big, so they cut it down. Yeah, see how it's like trimmed? Makes sense because this is a path, so they don't want it to, you know, hit people in their faces or something. Oh. It's just, everything is just so well maintained here. It's just public roads. Oh, it's supposed to go 20 miles per hour. Well, that's how fast I'm going, because such a, wait, they said no fishing, but he's fishing. You know. Wow. He's fishing in a suit. I like that. Boss. Well, look at that. A suit with flip-flops and smoke. Oh, hey there. Yumyong. Oh, lovely. Just so lovely. Let's see. I need to center myself. Where am I going? I think I'm going in the right direction. I believe to the right. Oh, it's a bit chilly now, guys. That's why you see me going like this. So, starting tomorrow, it should be going up to the 15 degrees. You know, 5 degrees higher. Until the weekend, and then apparently it's supposed to rain, and then it's supposed to drop the temperature a bit more, but maybe only by 3 degrees. So we're slowly making our way into full-blown spring. Oh, but I'm just thankful that I can even enjoy this right now, you know? Even though it's cold, oh, just enjoy these sights. Wow. Oh, so lovely. Well, anyways, on the subject of splitting the bill, don't think all Koreans are like that, though. I think the younger generation, they prefer to split the bill. They're more, you know, that's just how it's done. But what they probably do more is like, you know, you pay once and then they pay the next time. You pay once, they pay the next time. And it's not just the number of times. If you buy something that's twice as expensive, they pay twice, kind of thing, you know? So it's still sort of somewhat split down the middle. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I was making sure there was nobody behind me, but that guy came up on me real fast. Very, very stealthy for a big car like that. I didn't hear him. That's what it is. When you're with older people, don't split the bill. Offer to pay first and do the little pay, I'll pay, you pay kind of thing. And the other thing is, in Korea, if you're older, although you get a lot more respect, right? They're supposed to address you in a more respectful manner, blah, 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 blah. If you're older, you're expected to pay. Right, that's another mannerism or etiquette. So if you're cheap, you're stingy, don't hang out with younger people. You're expected to pay. Now, lucky for you, the younger Koreans are more westernized. So they're more likely not gonna pay. But this is something that's very convenient for them, so one of the things that I guess they selectively like to not be very Western about is, you know, receiving gifts of money and elders always paying, right? But yeah, it's about right, even if it wasn't for that fact, because younger kids, younger people, they have a lot more going for them. You know, they're a lot more busier in Korea. So, you know, if they're giving you their attention, they're having to uncomfortably always make sure they're well mannered around you, saying the right things, you know, letting you speak before they're spoken to, etc., blah blah blah, and they're going through all that trouble. The least you could do is pay for their companionship, you know, pay for the meal or whatever. That's just sort of how society operates, I guess. So just be aware of that. Well, geez, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize the battery died already. And you missed me going through that really scenic strip right there. Huh. What to do? What to do? I think what I will do is I will circle back around this area because this is Yangsuri. It's a very touristy area. I'll explore around here and just sort of end it here, I guess. I only got like 30 minutes left on the memory card. Oh, this is interesting. So I guess this is where the cafe is. I guess you have to go inside to get a nice view. Oh, wait, maybe on the left-hand side. Nope. Oh man, I really don't know where I left off on the conversation. Oh, I hate having to repeat that. But I was just basically saying, at the end of the day, all this etiquette with the money and stuff like this, it's all changing now, you know. So take everything I said with a grain of salt when you actually come to Korea, because, as I said in the beginning, it is changing. It is changing. People aren't so close-minded about these cultures, customs. And like always, they're more interested in the intention, you know? And you shouldn't just approach it as, I'm coming here with only a mindset of, you know, trying to learn the culture and do exactly what the Koreans do, etc. Part of what Koreans will expect if they are hanging out with you is to also learn the Western cultures and customs, you know? Like, there's certain things, maybe, like, don't insist on it, but start out with, like, Koreans would like to learn things, as long as it doesn't go against, per se, these given, objectives, the intentions that I talked about. Those are the things that they would definitely like to learn. For example, let's say you go to drink with a bunch of Koreans, you know? Hey, you're not like disrespecting elders or not trying to listen to what they have to say, but it'd be nice for you to, you know, just tell them how you cheer in Polish or in England or in America, what the latest slang is, maybe, I don't know what y'all say now. Maybe you don't say cheers anymore, I'm not hip enough to know. But Koreans are always trying to learn new English slang words, I shouldn't say English because the English will get offended. American slang words, etc. This is gonna dead end. So yeah, Koreans like to learn American customs, Western customs, and more and more you will see like a lot of these social norms, such as respecting elders, which was draconianly sort of interpreted as only elders get respected and younger people are disrespected, or even just the whole thing with men, like how men used to be the head of the household and such like this. This is all changing. Even in with my father's generation, I would say with most like male-female relationships, marriages, I feel like women hold more power than the men, in Korea. It's like Korea is definitely not like patriarchal or whatever as a lot of Western media would try to spin it off as, per se. It's very feminist. As a matter of fact, it always has been sort of feminist in Korea. Like some of the most powerful, strongest, outspoken figures in Korea have been women. Like what was that, Gapyeong or whatever. Just look at the history of that queen that during the Japanese colonial era, etc. Korean women are not soft-spoken. I don't think. I think that's a common myth. So yeah, I would say. Where am I? I'm trying to park. Yeah, here it is. This is what I wanted to do. Someone might get annoyed if I just take up a whole parking spot here, but there's plenty of parking. What are they gonna do? There's CCTVs everywhere. I just parked underneath the camera. Hit my Honda Cub. They're doing me a favor. I'll get a new one. Sue the crap out of them. All right. There's supposed to be lotus flowers here. I don't know if I released this in my drone series. I know I already edited it, but I walked through here and it's super green. Lotus flowers covering this area right here. So take everything I said with sort of a grain of salt. I mainly said it for reference because people want to know how it was. But Korea is always constantly a change of flux. And as more and more time goes by, you will see it will mirror like American culture more and more and more, because Koreans have no issues adapting to the world, The Koreans are some of the most adaptable, flexible people, I think, in the world. They might seem rigid, etc., but just look at the evidence. Just look at how fast Korean economy westernized, accepted, sort of Western economics and Western, government styles. Like for the longest time, Korea has always sort of been influenced by China, just Confucius system. Back in the days, there's periods of history when the Korean king was basically a subject of China. So Koreans are very used to adapting and surviving in a global environment, and you'll see that's probably what will continue to happen. I'm gonna open this shield now. It's fogging up. Does it sound less echoey now? Do you hear the outside? Oh, it's interesting that I don't see any of the lotus flowers. Because this place is covered in lotus flowers. I thought I would at least see like the leaves or something. But that's not the case. I guess they just rise up out of the ground. That's so... Oh, this is interesting. Oh. Yeah, this area is just like green, totally green. Because there's lotus flowers everywhere. Oh, I can't wait for spring. Summer. Look at these things here. It's fluffy. Fluffy. Ah. Yep, so don't be so concerned about etiquette and Korean mannerisms. Just be yourself, and I'm sure all of my viewers out there are just respectful of everybody, regardless of age, regardless of, social status, regardless of how well educated they are. And that is the rule of thumb, guys. At the end of the day, just be respectful of everybody, And you will have no issues in Asia, I think. And that is what it is, Don't try to dive so deep into how in the past, traditions and mannerisms and cultures, As you can see, I don't really appreciate that so much because... so a lot of it's ingrained in like very old Confucius, thinking, etc., which I don't really adhere to. I'm more of a Western guy. And I just believe that everybody should respect everybody regardless of what, and pay their dues, And yeah, and that's it. That's that. Oh. I just realized it's sort of green. There's like little green buds. I guess those green buds will turn into flowers. It's only green in the very top. But here you got little... I guess these are gonna be flowery too. There are no leaves, but this maybe becomes a flower. Oh. Oh, yep. Young kids in Korea like to be respected now, like to be heard. Women too. And to some degree, I think older guys out here, older men, they're probably, the most ignored. Although the media might spin it to make it seem like it's a very patriarchal society or whatever, but not in my experience, from what I see with the guys who are older than me. Oh. Love it. That's why it's nice sometimes just coming out into the wild, into nature, just being alone, Lucky for me, I'm not a guy who needs to constantly talk and receive feedback. Maybe I'm speaking from, I don't know, since I'm a YouTuber, I guess I'm communicating and all the time. But in real life, I like to just sort of keep to myself. Oh, the back of my head is freezing right now. The wind is blowing from the back. Oh, so cold. Oh, I was gonna do this, cut back. Is that more direct and fast? Or if I just went to the highway? I think I'll just go to the highway, guys. It's really scenic there. Hopefully I can show it to you. I really got nothing more to say on this matter, actually. Etiquette and mannerisms. So just focus on driving. Gotta be careful in parking lots. They say, what, like 50% of accidents happen in parking lots? I believe that's true. Come on now. No, it's a school zone. Gotta go 30 miles per hour. I mean, kilometers. So cold. Oh, I really hope I can make it to the scenic bridge. Oh, it's just cutting wind. It's cutting right through my sweaters and my armor and my jacket. So I have a motorcycle jacket on and a sweater on top of it, and it's like I'm wearing nothing. It's so cold. Oh my god. Oh, it's just so cold. Why is it so cold? Oh, thank god I have a little windshield. Oh, the wind is coming through my shield, my face shield. Oh, okay. I'm gonna try to close it a bit more. Alright. Woohoo! Almost there. This is actually one of the top 100 most scenic roads in Korea. And I would agree. Fortunate to be living like right by it. I have to go by it every time I go to Seoul. Look at this, guys. Woohoo! Oh, love it. It's beautiful in any season. Look over the river right here. There's gonna be another route I'm gonna do where I go through the dam that's located further south in Hanam City, and then like go through Hanam City as well. Please comment, like, share, whatever. Help this video get lots of views, and you know, I'll make more of these and show you more. 추워. Oh, it's cold. All right, that's it, guys. Back where gas is 15.20. Civilization. Major stop for motorcyclists coming out of Seoul, going into my area. Famous bike shop right there, and that's like a two-stroke cafe for motorcycles. I'll show you. Lots of bikers out here. See? That's a lot of Harleys. I guess they all like black ones, you know? Can Harleys look good in anything other than black? I wonder.